So I'm a software developer and a technical evangelist at Hedera Hashgraph. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I mostly post about Hedera though. I'm here today to talk about Hedera Hashgraph and Chainlink and why we're kind of a good combination, peanut butter and jelly for enterprise smart contracts. And to just give you a little background about Hedera Hashgraph for anyone who doesn't know, Hashgraph is not built on a traditional blockchain. Hashgraph is actually an alternative data structure and consensus algorithm to proof of work, to blockchain architectures. When used in a public setting, you can handle anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 transactions per second within a single shard. And so it's really interesting. Hedera is the only public network that's allowed to use Hashgraph. And so Hashgraph enables you to have configurable weighting in your Hashgraph blockchain or Hashgraph ledger. And so you can do things like one node equals one vote if you want to use it in a private network. You can do things like one token equals one vote if you want to use it in a public setting. Hedera chose to use proof of stake, which is really nice. And so we're currently the only network that has a formal Coke verification of our asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance, which basically is our mathematical proof for ABFT was translated into computer logic. That computer logic is then verified by the Coke assistant. And you can download it and verify it yourself if you'd like. And so another unique thing about Hedera is the Hedera Governing Council. So the Hedera Governing Council is responsible for all major decisions in our network. They're responsible for code-based decisions, platform decisions, the actual fee structure that we have, token releases, all that good stuff is made by the Hedera Governing Council. And so there's up to 39 world-class blue-chip organizations on our governing council. Every single member of the council will initially run a node. There's 7 different committees that these members can be a part of, anything from auditing, legal, compliance, marketing, actual technical directions, stuff like that. And one of the unique things about our council as well is that everyone has a 3-year term, but they can only serve 2 terms. So this ensures that unlike other platforms, that the core developers or the owners or the foundations aren't able to continuously control that platform for the rest of time. It's a really unique model. And so there's currently 6 or 8 members that we've had announced on the Hedera Governing Council so far. We were really excited to actually announce IBM joined, TalkTalk Communications just joined about a week or 2 ago. So we're really, really excited about that. And these companies actually legally co-own the Hedera Hashgraph network. You can see our public LLC agreements on hedera.com/council if you want to learn about the actual legal controls and the types of agreements that they make as they sign on to kind of steward this network into adoption. And so just to give you a picture of kind of how this landscape works, basically we built a lot of services on this Hedera Hashgraph consensus. So we have 4 services to date. Anyone can build third-party applications, whatever they want on top of our network. And it stretches a lot of industries. We're really agnostic, where you can build anything from supply chain to social good to actual transparent finance. Just about anything you could build on Ethereum or any of these other agnostic networks you could build on Hedera. And so the Hedera Governing Council is truly responsible for governing the Hashgraph consensus algorithm and its implementation, and then further the services and just the platform features that are running on top of it. The Governing Council has no control or say over these third-party applications that people are building, and so you can do whatever you want. You don't have to talk to us. You don't need a license, what you'd expect from another public network. We have 4 services, like I said, just to give you kind of a brief overview of them. We have our own cryptocurrency called HBAR. It's basically used for proof of stake. It's used to pay all your fees, your gas, your rent, all of that good stuff. It's also used to incentivize nodes, so anyone running our nodes will actually be incentivized with HBAR, obviously. And so attackers would need to gain over 1/3 of our cryptocurrency to be able to civil attack us and things like that. We have a very slow token distribution model where over 1/3 won't even be on the market for more than 5 years. So we can guarantee that we can't be civil attacked for more than 5 years. We have a file service, so it's a distributed file service. It's selectively immutable, so when you create a file on our network, you're allowed to define the administration keys that are allowed to alter or update that data on the network. If you want something that's permanently immutable, you can choose not to define those admin keys and just do whatever you want like you traditionally would. It's a really effective way to point to off-ledger data, to point to another database, or to reference kind of like, if you have some data on ledger that you want to share with multiple parties, you can encrypt that data on ledger, share the keys with the rest of the parties that are interested in that data, and they can download it and decrypt it privately. And so if you have things like highly immutable data storage, you really can do interesting things like uploading references to legal documents, uploading references to different types of credentials, different types of identity documents. And so it provides a really transparent way for things like decentralized identity or decentralized credential management. So it's really nice that we have this kind of natively baked into our platform. Hedera Smart Contracts is a wonderful feature as well. We absolutely support Solidity out of the box, which is really, really nice. So anything that's running on Ethereum, you can port to Hedera without basically any code changes other than kind of the fee structure. And it'll just run, it'll work perfectly, it's really nice. Unlike Ethereum, your transactions are actually always going to be executed and affect state in the same order in which they're submitted to the network. And so that way you don't have things like front running, you can't bribe miners to be included earlier in blocks. It's really interesting. And it'll have kind of new business models for things like decentralized exchanges and other things of that nature. Another nice thing about Hedera smart contracts that makes them kind of an enterprise-friendly option is that we have admin privileges. So just like our files, when you're creating a smart contract, you're allowed to define administrative keys if you want. You don't have to. And this allows you to do things like update and pause the contract. You're allowed to make future changes, and those changes are tracked on Ledger. So things like the Ethereum DAO actually wouldn't have required a hard fork. You could have just updated the contract with the right keys. So it's super unique here. Actually worth mentioning that Scott Thiel from DLA Piper, who's one of our governing council members, they're actively building over 15 solutions on Hedera. One of them is related to tokenized assets, which is really exciting. This is a quote from a podcast episode of ours that he was on, really worth a listen. And we actually just announced our fourth service, which is a Hedera consensus service. So we have a white paper just for this new service, which was co-authored by IBM. We're really, really excited about that. So you can go download and read about that white paper, about how you could actually use the Hedera consensus service and things like Hyperledger Fabric. So this is totally worth a read. That just came out about a month or so ago. And so the consensus service basically exposes the underlying Hashgraph consensus algorithm. So instead of having to do things like micropayment-based monetization or things like that, you're allowed to actually create new types of business models around just transparent consensus. And so you're able to do things like have the Hedera consensus service order transactions for your Fabric network. So Fabric currently doesn't have a Byzantine fault-tolerant ordering system. And so plug and play Hedera into that, and you immediately gain the trust and security model of Hashgraph, which is really, really unique. And so you can do the same thing, like you can verify that data in a traditional multi-party database if you want to do that in a side chain or side ledger. If you want to gain the security and have actually a more secure second layer solution than your actual layer 1 solution, you can use Hedera as a second layer solution for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and any of these other networks. And it's a really unique service that we're excited about. No one else is really offering consensus as a service to date. And so I'm really here today to talk about what Hedera has to do with Chainlink. As most people know, this is an Oracle node. And so I think it was May of this year, I could be a little wrong about that, we announced that we're working together to integrate Chainlink into the Hedera Hashgraph network. We're really, really excited about this because we do have full Solidity support out of the box. So anything that you're currently running on Ethereum with Chainlink, you'll be able to run on our network without any changes, which is really great. And so from my perspective, I really see there's kind of two ways that Hedera developers can use or contribute to the Chainlink ecosystem. So obviously, smart contract developers on Hedera can consume data from oracles. They can read and access all of this rich data that is provided by the decentralized Chainlink Oracle network. And Chainlink creates a really standardized, easy to use way with a lot of examples coming from the Solidity background and coming from Ethereum. which makes it a really nice, easily accessible option to those wishing to develop on Hedera. And then I also see there's kind of a second side, which is that Hedera developers in the Hedera ecosystem can in turn provide additional services to Chainlink nodes. The consensus service, if you're talking about building reputation systems for nodes, is a really nice way to do that. There's also, because we handle so many cryptocurrency transactions a second, you could do actual API-based monetization, or you could do additional incentive layers on top of the existing Chainlink infrastructure that's out there. So if you wanted to do something like additionally monetize a marketplace, Hedera's HBAR is a really good option for that. And so, just like I said before, this is just a basic example, but anything that you're running on Ethereum will run on us without changes. So any of their examples that are currently in their documentation and things like that are great examples of how you'll be able to use Chainlink from Hedera. Yeah, it's identical, so it's super nice. And so basically to concisely say why I think Hedera and Chainlink is kind of like the peanut butter and jelly of smart contracts is that it's a friendly, standardized, cheap, easy to use solution for any type of enterprise smart contracts or oracles that you're hoping to use. And so it's a really nice kind of availability where there's a lot of examples, there's a rich ecosystem with Chainlink, and then we provide a lot of the administrative flexibility that's required from the enterprise side, a lot of the performance that's required from the enterprise side, a lot of the compliance and regulatory solutions. And so we already have over 2,000 developers actively building on our testnets, which is really exciting because we haven't launched yet. These are just a few of the companies that are building on us to date, which is really, really exciting. They stretch all industries from supply chain, finance, gaming, pharmacy, pharmaceuticals tracking. There's just a wealth of applications out there. And so what's next for Hedera? We're at this really exciting time. We're actually going to be opening access to our mainnet. So our mainnet's been live since August of last year. It's in limited access, and we've been selectively onboarding people and getting audits done and all that good stuff. But we'll be opening that hopefully by the end of the summer, which means that anyone can build and deploy applications on our network. They can use any of the applications on our network. Our cryptocurrency will hopefully be listed on exchanges. And so we're actually onboarding dozens and dozens of applications who will be available for use from day one. So the first day that people will be able to use the Hedera network, there will be a wealth of applications running. We also have a bunch of community testing programs going on right now and will be going on in the future. Some of them are targeted towards developers building applications. Some are targeted towards consumers that want to just test out the network and see what's cool about Hashgraph. We've currently allocated over 200 million HBAR to these programs, which may be more in the future, which is really, really exciting. If you want to, you can sign up on our website. Kind of in the future, we'll be announcing more council members. There'll be up to 39, 8 to date. The beta availability of the Hedera consensus service will be coming very shortly after Hedera's open access because that's a new development. Hopefully we'll have more details to share soon about our Chainlink integration and the work that we're doing with them. And then Hedera's code base will be entirely open to review after our beta period and V1 is released. So really exciting stuff. You should keep an eye out for open access. Hopefully we make some noise in the market. And so if you're really interested in getting involved, I really, really recommend reading the Hedera white paper. So we have a 60-page white paper that outlines the Hedera network, our governance structure, all of that jazz. And then we also have, at the end of it, is the actual Hashgraph consensus algorithm white paper. So if you get down there, you're able to read that, and it's really, really brilliant stuff from Lehman. If you want to learn about our council, visit our website. We have a Discord that's really targeted towards developers, so if you want to actually ask about developing on Hedera, what types of SDKs we have available, things like that, just join Discord. All of our open source software can be seen on GitHub, and we have some really good documentations, especially people coming from Ethereum and coming from a Solidity background, if you want to see how you deploy the different networks or kind of what the differences are there. So yeah, this is a great way to get involved. And so if anyone's actively working on a decentralized application, if you're interested in learning about Hedera, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to you, explain to you what we're about, what kind of solutions are better suited for our network versus others, and things like that. So thank you guys. That was what I had today. Are there any questions?
Maybe what kind of use case are you the most excited to see for the open access?
What use case am I most excited to see for open access? So we have a lot of interesting companies that are doing things in the pharmaceutical and supply chain fields. There's actually one dApp called Certara that I'm excited about, who's working with the Center for Disease Control and the CDC in the States, working on open pharmaceutical APIs for kind of drug shortage tracking. So if any pharmacies or an aggregate of pharmacies around the United States are actually experiencing drug shortages, they're able to know in real time and stop those supply chain solutions. That's just kind of one. There's a bunch. It's hard to kind of pick and choose. Are there any other questions?
The consensus service with IBM, is that Fabric has the unique design of having really simple ordering API, so it makes sense to carve out the ordering service as a separate piece. Is that applicable to other
so it depends. It's really, really well suited to do ordering in Fabric. We'll have a native integration where it's just plug and play, where you can use Raft or Kafka or whatever you're using, or you can use us if you want a Byzantine fault tolerant, publicly auditable.
Whereas here, for example, where most of the other protocols, ordering is just a small piece of doing the whole consensus. It's impossible to carve it out to make it a service by itself. So I guess the question is that service mostly designed for Fabric?
So I think IBM wrote it with Fabric and IBM blockchain platform in mind. That was kind of a lot of the excitement that they've expressed about us. But it's not limited to that by any means. I think if you want to do total fair ordering in a lot of environments, there's not a lot of great solutions out there. And it's not just a way to do kind of consensus. You can do it's like a notary service of sense, where you can submit any type of application or any type of data to the network, like arbitrarily. It can be encrypted, it cannot be encrypted, and you'll get a guaranteed verified timestamp from the entire Hedera network, which could actually be used as like a proof in court among a variety of other things. So it's not just plug and play for consensus. You can submit any type of arbitrary message to a given topic. It'll order it, it'll give you a live hash, it'll give you a guaranteed consensus timestamp within milliseconds of when the majority of the network reached it. And from that, you can do a lot of unique things with it. Whether you want to prove that data was on the network at a given time, or if you want to order transactions in a blockchain, there's a wealth of use cases. What else? Any other questions? I'll be around if you want to talk to me, if you don't want to ask me in public. So thanks everyone for your time.